Hi friends, welcome to Crackgate. We are back with yet another important lecture, continuing the current affairs series that we are running in our YouTube channel. So this is the news article from the 12th and the 13th of November 2021. So as you all know that we bring out the news article for your phase 2 examination, which is important for your RBI examination, SEBI and also NABARD. And also if you are preparing for any other banking examination, then all these news are important for your phase 2 of the examination, right? So let's begin our first news article, that is GCA. What is GCA? It's Governance in Directorate General of Civil Aviation. So recently the Union Minister of Civil Aviation, Shri Jyotiraditya Scindia, launched GCA. Now what is GCA? So it's a portal, and many things that DGCA does on paper has been automated using that portal. As simple as that. The projects aimed at automation of processes and function of DGCA, which are currently into the manual mode, with 99 surveys covering about 70% of the DGCA's work being implemented in the initial phase and 198 surveys to be covered in other phases. So see, who are the people using DGCS service? It's the pilot, it's the operator, means airline operator, okay, it's the ground staff, it's the air hostess, okay, it's the uh, means whatever work that DGCA does, and all the stakeholders uses their service. Currently, it's completely manual, and now it has been automated using this GCA. The projects has been implemented with TCS as a service partner and PwC as a project management consultant, right? So let's begin our second news article, that is strategic alliance with Bajaj Allianz Life Insurance. So recently, India Post Payment Bank has partnered with Bajaj Life Allianz Life Insurance. Why? They want to offer, because India Post Payment Bank will use a vast network of what? Vast network of post offices to offer terms and annuity product to its customers through bank's extensive network of 650 branches and over 136,000 banking access points. Right? About India Post Payment Bank. So India Post Payment Bank has been established under the Department of Post, Ministry of Communication. Okay, it's not under the Ministry of Finance, because when you see banks, so you might tend to think that it's under the Ministry of Finance. No, it's under the Ministry of Communication. But yes, India Post Payment Bank has to follow all the rules and regulation of the payment bank from Reserve Bank of India. Right. So it was launched on 1st of September 2018. Okay, so it has partnered with whom? Bajaj Allianz. For what? For offering terms and annuity product to its customers using a vast network of banking access points. Let's move to the third news article. Strengthening the State Institute of Public Administration. So recently, what happened? The Chief Minister and the Dr. Jitendra Singh, the MOS, Minister of State, right? So, inaugurate two-day regional conference on strengthening the State Institute of Public Administration at Lucknow. And the outcome is very good. UP will come out with a district good governance index, first for any state in the country. Okay. So this is very important. You should remember this. Then the minister also announced that DARPG will collaborate with UP government for integration of CP Grams with district portals of Uttar Pradesh, which will enable citizens to lodge complaint from a single portal. So a state, so UP has most of the population, is the biggest state. So if UP can do this, everyone can do it, right? So this shows the governance in UP. One nation, one portal is goal, and towards this end, CP Grams with state grievance portal will play an important role in redressal of grievances. So grievances means any service from the government, any complaints against any officer, bureaucrats, or everything can be raised using this type of portals, right? Then let's move to the next news article, that is E20 fuel. Now, say in the previous current affair video, you have seen that ethanol blending program. The government has increased the price of the ethanol. Now E20 fuel. The next news is very important, that India is going to blend 20% of ethanol with petrol from 2025-26. According to the official, all new vehicles sold in the country will be E20 compliant from 2025. Okay, so what is E20 compliant? See, right now all petrol engine is capable of E10, means ethanol at 10%. Okay, and from 2025 all those engine will be upgraded, means some or the other mechanical changes, so that is something technical that all the manufacturing company is going to do, and will make their engine capable of E20 fuel, means they should be able to run on 20% ethanol. Okay, and why this is important? This is important because with this India can reduce its import bill of the crude, right? So let's move. See, according to official statement, OMC have contracted over 3.5 billion liter of ethanol in year 2020-21, up from 380 million liters. The goal is to achieve 10 billion liters of ethanol procurement for meeting the E20 blending target. Understood? So let's move to the next news article, that the government has included CNG, LNG, and 98 other advanced tech under the PLI. So this is very, very important. Union government had added more than 100 advanced technologies, okay, including alternative fuel systems such as compressed natural gas and LNG under the PLI scheme for the automobiles. Till now, the government has included only two-wheelers and four-wheelers under the scheme. The scheme aims to boost manufacturing capability of the automobile sector, including the electric and hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. Right. In September, this scheme has approved with an outlay of rupees 25,938 crore. Right. So this is a very important step. Let's move to the next news article, that is silver EFT. Till now you have seen gold EFT and now it's silver EFT. So SEBI have set the board. Okay, SEBI has given the notification, or you can say approval, for the launch of silver exchange traded fund. Silver exchange traded fund shall mean a mutual fund scheme that invests primarily in silver or silver related instruments, right? So gold EFT is gold and gold related instrument. The SEBI board in its meeting held in September has approved mutual funds to launch silver EFT. So currently mutual funds offer only gold based EFT in the commodity space. Silver EFT will have similar safeguard as that is existing regulatory mechanism for gold EFT. Means all the regulatory requirement will be equal to gold EFT, means that is also very secure. Globally, there are at least 4 silver EFT with AUM of more than 1 billion. Okay. iShares Silver Trust, world biggest silver EFT, has AUM of over 12 billion. Right. So you should know that SEBI has given its approval for silver EFT. Let's move to the next news article, capital expenditure. So this is very important news in regards to your 15 Finance Commission. So there are 7 states of India. Okay. So in 15 Finance Commission, it was said to the union government that if a state is able to meet its capital expenditure, then it can borrow additional amount, right? And what is that? It is equivalent to 0.5% of their state GDP. If their state GDP is 100, then they can do it like 50 paisa they can uh, additionally borrow from the market. Okay, so as an incentive to the states, who are the states? Chhattisgarh, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Meghalaya, Punjab, Rajasthan, and Telangana are this state. So why capital expenditure? Look, what is capital expenditure? Capital expenditure means creating an asset for building an asset, right? So capital expenditure has a multiplier effect. Money, uh, if you are investing 100 rupees in capital expenditure, then you are looking forward to earn or get 1,000 rupees out of that 100 rupees. So that is the capital expenditure. Capital expenditure has a multiplier effect. So to become eligible for this, what does 15 Finance Commission says? States were required to achieve 15% of the target set by 21-22 by the end of first quarter, 21-22, 45% by the end of second quarter, which this state have met. Okay, and 70% by the end of third quarter and 100% by 31st March 2022. Then they can do it. So these are the seven states. Telangana being the number one, 5,392 crore, followed by Punjab, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Kerala, Chhattisgarh, and Meghalaya. Right? Let's move to the next news article, that is growth rate of agriculture emission. This is again an important thing to know, but these are very data oriented content. So, I have tried to put it in one slide so that you can take a screenshot and read it twice and thrice so that it gets settled in your brain. Right now, the news is, although India refrained from signing COP26 Action Agenda on Sustainable Agriculture at the Climate Summit in Glasgow, though it was part of the negotiation, data suggests it needs more fast in addressing the issue of agriculture sustainability. Why? Because India is a very big country, and the kind of target that were presented in the and also uh, the contribution of agriculture in Indian economy is, in terms of percentage, you will see it as less, but in terms of amount, it's very much. If you go to rural India, you will find most of the people dependent on agriculture. So if the methods of agriculture gets changed because of the change in policy, then first you have to build the capacity, and then only things can work. Let's say in overnight the government declares no one can use the thermal powered electricity for running a water pump in their field. So where will this farmer bring water from? Do they know how does the so solar energy is free, and they can easily purchase the solar panel, and they can produce electricity on their own, and they can run the tube well. But first of all, they will have to know the technology. Means first of all, you will have to build the capacity, only then you can act on it, right? So that's why India did not sign this agriculture emission norms in the Glasgow. Although it was part of negotiation, so India was part of negotiating, data suggests and everything, but India is not one of the signatory nation. Climate analysis indicator CIT data from 1990 to 2018 shows that even though India ranks third in terms of global greenhouse gas emission, it has the top rank in terms of agriculture emissions. It accounted for over 12% of the global greenhouse emission for agriculture and related activities. It emitted 7% more than the next highest polluting country, China, 30% more than the Brazil, which ranked third in the agriculture emissions. Why? Because the size, the population is one of the reason. Okay, the share of agriculture in India's total emission may have declined close to a third to just over 20% between 2009 and 18. Further analysis of CIT shows that the growth rate of agriculture emission has been increasing since 2015. It has been increasing, right? The year-on-year growth emissions in 2016 was 0.5%, rose to 0.83% in 17. So see, all these are data point. You cannot remember everything. That is a fact. Only thing you will have to go through again and again, and things will settle in your mind. Let's move to the next news article. That is British brokerage Barclays. So this organization has come out with a report which says India trade deficit has been jumping continuously since July 2021. Current account deficit is driven by the massive spike in the commodity prices led by crude oil. Look, in two of the news article, I was talking about the import bill, and in this there is a report which says due to the increased price of crude oil, the current account deficit of India is widening. And this is obviously not good for any economy. The CID is expected to reach 45 billion or 1.4% of GDP by March 2021. This will put pressure on the fragile economic recovery. Obviously, from an average monthly trade deficit of 12 billion till July. So there has been a, means we are importing, let's say we are importing products of rupees 100, but sorry, we are exporting products of rupees 100, and we are importing products of rupees 112 billion. 112 rupees means 12 billion extra. It has jumped to 16.8 billion in July and October. See, it is getting wider, with September showing the highest ever trade, which is at 22.6 billion. Okay, so what are the possible reasons? Let's look into that. So first is crude oil. Okay, let's not get into the detail. You already know, if the price rise, the consumption doesn't change. Okay, India has to import. There is no other option. Then gold. Obviously, there has been, the recent in India, festivals. People usually buy gold and all. We had Diwali and all. So you see, there were more gold import in order to meet that internal demand. Okay, so gold is one of the reason. Then service. So on service, on the positive side, where India, India is on the surplus, means India is exporting more than importing, improved from an average of 6.6 billion in 2019 to 7 billion in 2020 to 8 billion in the first 9 months of 2021. So even if you see the service sector is working from home, maybe till now also, but in the first 9 months of the current financial year, we see that there is an 8 billion surplus. So this is very good. Then with this, we have come to the end of this lecture. Let's meet in the next lecture. Till then, we wish you very good luck for from the team Crack Rugby. Thank you and happy learning.